like this, I feel like the teacher's sitting up front, I don't.
I think I've
You
got
look good up there.
I've got
Right.
601, Mr. Smith. Are we ready?
I always sit in the back of the room.
You look good.
Are we good, Mr. Hammonds?
Yep, you good to go?
Okay.
We're good.
Alright. Okay, let's call the meeting to order. I need a motion to adopt the agenda, or no, I'm sorry, to amend the agenda to add superintendent update for our first item of discussion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion is made by Williams, second by Lundy. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. So, we have a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
Motion made by Reeves, second by Daniels. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Actions by consent. We have a motion for the actions by consent.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Lundy, second by Williams. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All voting aye. Okay, superintendent update. Ms. Dixon.
Okay, well, thank you for amending the agenda. We have new information that affects our families, so we wanted to begin with that information so our parents could be in the loop about where we are with in-class instruction at this point in time. I want to just say good evening to everyone, and I want to begin, first of all, by thanking our parents and our students for their patience and understanding, as we all know that the past few months have been extremely trying for everyone. And for our parents, we definitely understand how difficult it's been and how it's changed your lives and the lives of our students completely, as it has all of ours here in this room today. Our goal at Barbourville has always been and will always be to deliver the best possible education to our students, as well as to offer the utmost support and encouragement. And that is what families do, and that is what we do here at Barbourville. We are a family, and together we work through trying times like this and take time occasionally to stop and reflect on all that we have to be thankful for. So for just a moment, I want to start by saying how thankful I am for our staff here at Barbourville. We have staff that have continuously provided meals, transportation. They've kept our facilities clean and safe for our students when we were allowed to be in a seat, and those teachers have been live streaming throughout the entire pandemic, and I want to thank them for all the extra work that has gone into this, and the board has been very complimentary of all that work, and I know they appreciate that as well. Our staff has gone above and beyond, although things are not perfect, as it rarely ever is, but we feel we've embraced the most effective efforts, had the most effective strategies in place, and had the greatest efforts to continue to provide that quality education even during the pandemic. This isn't easy for anyone, and particularly teachers. Teachers are live daily. They're being viewed by students and their families and any visitors that may be in that household as well. And they have worked a regular schedule each and every day. In addition, they're also parents and caregivers. So they're the best around, and I'm very proud of the staff here at Barbourville, the faculty and staff, and all that they do and continue to do to make sure that our kids are growing and learning every day. They're making it work. And I know it isn't the same, but they're still delivering good instruction. The work is being done by the teachers. It's not having to be done by parents every day alone. The kids have a chance to join in and interact because of the live interaction. So we feel like that we as an administrative team here and this board are very thankful for all of our staff, for all the efforts that they have put in to trying to make this as normal as a process as possible. It's a first. It's a first for all of us. It's a one of a kind. It's the first for me in 34 years of education, something I never understood that I might have to face one of these days. But for our parents, I want to give you an update about what this means, the new information from the governor's office that was released yesterday means for us here at Barbourville and for instruction for your students. First of all, the board members have a handout that I have given you that talks about the governor issuing his executive order. So if you will look at that for just a moment, The governor issued an executive order. This is very different from the recommendations that we had in the past, based on the very same data and information, but it is not a recommendation. It is a mandate and an executive order. Effective on November the 23rd, elementary schools, kindergarten through 5th grade, for us that includes preschool, we will add preschool through 5th grade, may resume in-person classes on December the 8th, if not in the red zone. Schools that are in the red zone are mandated not to open for in-class instruction during that time. For middle and high school students, they may not resume in-person instruction until January the 4th, and that as well only can happen if we are not in the red zone. And for parents out there, if you have been listening to the messages each day, or even if you haven't, you can go to kentuckycovid.gov and you can look at the map that we're referring to that they use daily. The map does look like this. As of today, you can see that Knox County is in the red, along with every other county in the state of Kentucky, with the exception of 8. Today's numbers that were reported for cases of COVID were the highest on record. There was 3,649 cases. For the first time, a large number of those were kids ages 18 and under. There were 437 today of that 3,600 that were actually students ages 18 and under. Today they reported 30 deaths and a positivity rate of 9.1. So the red zone is what will allow us to make a decision on whether we can return on those dates that are outlined by the executive order, if we choose to do so or not. And we have an option to decide if we wanted to, as a school, to pull back all instruction until the date that it is lifted for middle and high, which would be January the 4th. And I just want to see if there's some conversation about that. I will tell you, as a primary teacher, I think it's very difficult for the younger students to keep up the pace. The middle and high school kids seem to do a much better job, and they are a little self-motivated by grades and keys monies and those kinds of things. But for elementary, it's very important that they're consistent. So I wanted to kind of get some feedback from you, how you felt about, if we're not in the red, moving back into the classroom with the same health and safety guidelines in place that we have in place now for the COVID pandemic. My thinking basically was that we would, if we could, return to in-seat on December the 7th, still doing the rotation as we're doing now until that restriction is lifted, and then return on January the 4th with middle and high school. But I would like to hear your thoughts on that and what you feel about that. How do you feel about the elementary coming on into in-class on December the 7th versus keeping them at home, as well as our middle and high through their restricted time, which is January the 4th? Personally, I know some of you have kids and grandkids in elementary ages. What are your thoughts about that?
I think they need to go.
And we could do a survey again. I think maybe might be a good time to do a survey and see how many of our elementary folks will still be sending their kids if we open and are not in the red zone on December, as we're allowed to do so. So are we in agreement that might be the best method, is to just see? Because I will say, and our parents know this, that we tried to go to school when those numbers were in the red zone 1 week. We did go to school that week. I felt really, it was my call, and I felt really bad about it afterwards, because we didn't actually have enough kids in a seat on the days when we came to overcome not meeting that recommendation. So I reflected on that decision and decided that we have this guidance that's set before us by the state. They are the public health experts. At that time, we had that outbreak in our nursing home, and I really felt like that was what our issue was, but we saw that it kept increasing. So that wasn't correct. I was wrong in that decision during that week, and we have only done that 1 week because of that. So that was when we had the recommendations to do so. So my thoughts are, if we survey our elementary parents and see how many are going to be in a seat, and we know that it would be beneficial to bring those elementary kids back, we can do that. And if that is okay with you all, that's kind of the action that we will take. We'll do a survey, we'll see what our data is, and I'll just send that data out to you all in an email so you can be aware of what it looks like.
I do have a question, and I feel like a lot of parents will ask this question. If it is safe for the primary kids to come back, why is it not safe for the older students to come back? And I feel like that will be a question that will come up repeatedly.
I think that's a public health issue. It's based on the cases and the age range from the cases that are documented. It also has to do with the interaction with your high school kids. There seems to be more interaction, more riding in cars to school together, more leaving in the afternoons together, those kinds of things. So all of that data is compiled not by us, and it's not our decision here at the school level, but it's based on the data that public health and the commissioner and the governor's office have been using as their guidance. So there is an age span there that predicts that they are more at risk to exposure, not only to exposure, but as carriers from what I gather. But again, I'm not the public health expert, so I may have basically stated some of that incorrectly. I just want you to know that I try to leave that up to them. But we have been told it's based on the data and the ages and also the socialization and interaction patterns of those kids.
Thank you. I think that was really good to clarify that.
I think so too, and I will get additional clarifications so we will all basically know, that's something that's been hinted at but never really pointed out as to why there would be that difference. And I do know that we've had lots of conversations about high school kids ganging up and hanging out, and with practices that had been going on, that they would get together after practice or meet at so-and-so's home before practice and those kinds of things. So the interaction issue from that age group was a little different. But that's a really good question. We'll try to get all of that cleared up. So we're going to follow those mandates and recommendations from KDE, Public Health, and the governor's office. If we're in the red zone in Knox County, our elementary, if we're out of the red zone, let's hope we are, but if we're out of the red zone in Knox County, our elementary could return to in-class on December the 7th. That's Monday, December the 7th, while our middle school and high school will return, if not in the red zone, on January the 4th. Now, our virtual real-time instruction will continue as always. We are on fall break next week, so parents, your kids are not telling you a fib if they tell you they have no classes next week. They do not. We are on fall break, so there will be no classes next week. The following week, we will return to online at home learning, and we'll begin on Monday, November the 30th. So courses will start back on lifetime on November the 30th. But I would like to discuss the option that we talked about, something we talked about a little earlier. We've had some parents make some suggestions and talk about, how overwhelming this process is and how hard it is to encourage kids to continuously stay on task and involved in the classrooms the entire time. So Miss Benita and Sandy and I, and then a couple of, most of us actually, have had parents to talk to us about things like that, and teachers as well. Because what is happening is teachers are online all day. So if there's a question that a parent who's helping their child wanted to ask, or if the child needed longer in conversation, the teacher's not available. And the teacher's not available to answer emails because they're actually live streaming during the day. We've tried to troubleshoot things. A parent or two may have said something like, I'm not getting emails answered. Well, what was happening is the emails were coming during the workday after the teacher's planning period, and there was no time to stop instruction and answer those emails and things like that. So communication is really important to us. When we started this process, we thought we would be through it by now, and we'd be back to a regular schedule, and we're not. So our kids have worked very hard, our teachers have worked tremendously hard, and we know our parents are really struggling with the daily routines as they have changed drastically. So what was suggested, and I think we're at a really good point for that, we've had our first grading period, grades are out, there's documentation of how kids are doing, there's documentation of how involved they are daily within logging onto their classes and in participation. So with all that being said, we think that it's important to relieve just a little anxiety and maybe give kids a chance and parents for a communication period, more than that 40 minutes that teachers usually have during planning. So what I would like to suggest is that when we do return to regular instruction, is that we take a power-up day and a communication day. That kids would attend online, virtually, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And Wednesday would be what we would refer to as a power-up and communications day. Teachers would work with kids who had questions, who were not getting the content, who needed some clarification in the content. They would answer emails and communications from parents. And also, we received guidance that we are allowed to bring in small groups. We're waiting on the specifics and to see if it's a little different from the first guidance that we got. So what we could do is to have 4 or 5 kids who are really struggling or who have really aggressive coursework that they want to do better on, like their AP classes, and bring 4 or 5 in each Wednesday and allow them to be there for that maximum amount of time that they're going to be allowed to under those regulations. So I would like to ask your thoughts and opinions on utilizing a Wednesday of every week as a power-up and communications day so that our staff would have more time to communicate with parents and students that might feel like that their questions are not getting answered. You know, and the kids that are doing the work, that are on target, it's kind of a breather for them. It's kind of a talk to your family today about what happened the rest of, the week before, the days before. So I think it's a win-win for our staff as well as for our students. It was a great suggestion. Benita mentioned it to me, and I just think it's a really good idea. I think we're at the point now where it's good, where it would be a good time for us to take advantage of being able to pull in those small groups or talk in small groups with our families. Do you all, your thoughts or feelings about that?
I think it's an excellent idea. We need the time.
Everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, then that's kind of what we will plan. And for our parents, again, on Wednesdays, beginning the first Wednesday that we are back from fall break, we'll be doing Power Up and Communication. That'll give you an opportunity for a larger amount of time for kids to talk to teachers about issues that they need to talk to teachers about, as well as parents to clarify some things that they may need. That is one of the things that's been really hard for us, because up until this point, the administrative team, and especially Samantha Daniels and Brian Carey, they've been given referrals from all the teachers. Teachers have been doing a referral system if they felt that a student was lagging behind, not submitting their work, if they weren't logging on, or if they were just really concerned about that student, they would do a referral. So the admin team have actually been calling along with the instructional assistants and actually doing home visits, making phone calls, trying to encourage and trying to take any barriers away from those families. But when you get asked by parents specifics about why in that classroom and you're not the teacher, it doesn't do the same thing as it would do to have a conference with that teacher. So this Wednesday issue will allow them to do that. So I think that's perfect timing for that, because we did find our administrators were saying, we told them what the referral said and what we had time to talk to Miss So-and-so about, but really we don't know all the details. So it would be much better if the teacher had the opportunity to talk, and that will allow this to happen.
And we also discussed about having that time allotted to where the teacher wouldn't be called all day, so they would have quality time to work with students that needed the
Yes,
extra
absolutely.
teaching.
Absolutely, and since our conversation, we did get the guidance about the small groups, and they actually brought some small groups in last week, and it worked very, very well. There were some communication things that we had to clean up a little bit, but this process is new to all of us. Our parents have the greatest burden. Our parents are trying to work, they're trying to make sure that their kids are online and doing the things that they need to do and following up with their grades. They have a great burden, but it is very different for everyone that is involved in the process. So we try to be more reflective about what's working, what's not working. We know it's not perfect, but we think that it is one of the best models that actually are out there in the state. We feel very good about that fact. We were doing NTI in a take-home packet method, and we did not feel that that was the best method to do for students. So being able to do the live streaming, and when they can't be online, they at least have that recording where they can look at what's happened during that day and see the faces of other kids in their room. That's a plus. So I feel really good about what the staff has done. I think they've worked diligently to make sure that they were providing good instruction. So what we will do then, we will start back to school, and on Wednesday, which would be December the 3rd, kids will not log in for coursework. They may check their emails and communications in case the teacher is sending an email to you, to the student to say, I need to talk to you. Or I would like for you to, submit the question that you were going to ask me and didn't have time to ask. And parents, if you want to send emails, please send those emails prior to Wednesday, and teachers can have that time to follow up and answer questions that you have. So that is where we are with in-class instruction and the updates and mandates from the governor's office through the executive order. And I talked really, really fast, so I hope everyone understood that. But again, you can always email me at kai.dixon@beeville.kyschools.us anytime. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Ms. Dixon. All right, take action to approve Family Engagement Week proclamation, Knox neighborhood.
Okay, you might have already seen that Knox County Promise Neighborhood posted a photo. I'd just like to ask the board to recognize the Family Engagement Week proclamation as part of what we do here at Barbourville from the Knox Promise Neighborhood.
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Motion made by Daniel, second by Reeves. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All voting aye. Okay, approve SFCC KETS offer for assistance.
Okay, well, this is a good thing. We have been offered $4,261 for our assistance offer from our CATS group. I would recommend that the board would accept the $4,261.
Absolutely.
I'll make a motion. We
I'll
accept
second.
it.
You take the money, did it?
We will take the money if we can get it. We can put it to good use for our kids.
Motion made by Ms. Williams and second by Lundy. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All voting aye. Okay, approve the participation in resolution for KISTA financing for bus purchase for Volkswagen settlement.
Okay, I'm gonna ask Mr. Carey to speak to this, and we're gonna we hope that we can pick him up from the Zoom. Again, to those of you who are viewing, we are limited to on-site participation due to COVID restrictions. So we do have our administrative team Zooming, as well as our board attorney, Mr. Crawford. So Mr. Carey explained to us that we had an option that we probably would be able to get a bus that would be funded 50% for us, and that is something that he shared with us early on. So it is happening. We do have some options, and I think you have in your packet some options options that he has out there as far as quotes go. Mr. Carey, can you address the quotes and the differences in the costs that you have?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We were awarded half price of a base bus. That was around $45,000. The quotes that you have are for around $105,000 and one for $97,000. The only difference in those two quotes is air conditioning in that bus. The cheaper quote, the $97,000 quote, has driver air only.
Okay, Mr. Carey,
The one,
based on the fact that our two new buses are both air conditioned at this time, I don't see it being an issue not to have that bus air conditioned except for the front air. What are your thoughts on that, considering the amount of time that students would be on a bus?
I agree with that. If we have spring sports or summer ball camp or whatever, we've got buses to cover that now. I added the driver air on there because if it gets rainy and in the spring, rainy, cold, or rainy and really humid, we need some circulation of air in the front so we're not wiping the windows off with a towel and trying to drive at the same time.
Okay. Mr. Carey, I think although you can't see everyone shaking their head, that they feel like it's worth the additional money to look at that cost. There's not a lot of difference in that, and I think that might be their consensus. Let me ask you, Mr. Carey, what is the total cost that we would get from this settlement?
It's around $45,000.
Okay, so I think the reason Mr. Carey and I were looking at the lower cost is it was basically closer to 50%, which is what we were looking at. But really and truly, for air conditioning, let's say one of our buses were down, and you know, I'm just going to commend the board for the financial management that you all have been have overseen, because this would be bus number 3. Brand new buses for our kids to be transported in, not only for school but for the extracurricular activities, and let's hope we get there this year. You've done an excellent job with that, and I think it's something for you all to be very proud of.
I could have that bus, or with the approval of whatever you want, I could have that bus ordered tomorrow. If it goes like a normal year, we would have it in the spring.
Wonderful.
And this bus is replacing bus 99 that will have to be destroyed per the requirement of to get the money.
Okay. Questions, discussion?
Get a
Motion,
motion.
yes.
Yeah, we want air.
Yeah, I make the motion to approve the quote that includes air for driver and students for approval.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made by Reeves, second by Lundy. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All voting aye. Everybody gets an
Ms. Dixon, let me just clarify, that's the $105,000, right?
Yes.
That's correct, Mr. Carey. I know that makes you nervous, but go ahead.
It don't make me nervous.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Carey.
I will have that ordered tomorrow.
Okay.
Great.
Great. So also, Jennifer, do we need to have a motion to approve the KISTA financing, because it can, our portion can be financed through KISTA, so the motion, there needs to be a separate motion for approving the KISTA financing process? Yes, she needs that.
Let's
There
get
is
a
a
motion.
form there
I'll
that
make
needs
a motion
signed.
for the KISTA financing for us to apply.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Carey. And Benita makes a motion for the KISTA financing.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Williams, second by Daniels. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. All voting aye. Superintendent goal setting and evaluation discussion.
Okay, well, it's going to be short and simple tonight because it's been a roller coaster of a year so far, but I just wanted to remind everyone of the standards that we've talked about. Hopefully together next month. Let's see what December brings, but hopefully we can be together next month. And what I would like to ask you to do is to think about some things that you would like for me, particularly from this point on until we do look at our evaluation cycle in May, some things that you would like for me to work on based on those standards, and you would like to see us focus on a little more than we have been, and there's always lots of growth areas that we need, and everyone can always learn and grow, and I'm willing to do that. So I want to ask you to give me some suggestions on things that you would like to see me prioritize for the district as the superintendent here in this district, and I will make sure to do everything I can to fulfill those goals. Again, we will be going over, I hope to wait until January to start looking at the different standards a few at a time, so that it isn't as long and lengthy a meeting in May. And we need to be doing those things as superintendents all year and ongoing for all of those standards. But one of the big things that I would like for you to do is look through the standards again and choose one standard that you think is really important that I focus on as a superintendent in order to bring about more growth and change for our district. Instead of us looking at all of them, if there's a particular one or maybe two that you could suggest, and then we'll look at them together as a group at the next meeting and prioritize some goals for those two areas. And again, you can always go ahead and send those to me early if you want to, and then before the meeting I can kind of pull some of the data points and things that we need to look at to set our goals and to make sure that I'm meeting those goals.
Okay. Sounds good. Anybody got any comment on that? All right. I need to approve the non-resident contracts with Knox County and Bell County Schools.
Mr. Carey, do you have any additional information other than these are the standards? Have these contracts changed from the past?
They are still the same as what they have been.
Okay. No changes.
I'll make a motion, we approve them.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Williams, second by Lundy. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All voting aye. Okay, administrative updates. We've got Mr. Carey on the line, so Mr. Carey, you want to give us your update?
About all I have is participation rate being online, still running around the 92% mark, so pretty good. Like Ms. Dixon said, we had the power up day yesterday. Had a lot of students, went way better than I expected, so everything seems to be going good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, what about Mr. Middleton?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll talk just a little bit about a couple different things. First thing, as Mr. Carey just alluded to, Ms. Dixon as well, yesterday we had a power up session for our students that we targeted, but we've also, our special education teachers, our resource teachers have worked throughout the week, having students come in as individually and work with those students individually, as well as our services that our students receive through occupational therapy, speech therapy, as well as physical therapy. They've been working with those students as well in those smaller individual groups throughout the week to try to address some of their needs. One thing I will touch on as far as athletic-wise goes, I know it's yesterday we had the Board of Control meeting with KHSAA, and then on Tuesday we had a 13th Region Policy Board meeting. The requirements or the process that we're going through right now is at this point in time, the winter sports season has been delayed until the first contest being scheduled for January the 4th. We were originally scheduled to start actually Monday with high basketball season opening on Monday, but with this order through the KHSA Board of Controls, they voted unanimously to extend that or delay that until January the 4th for any competitions. All of our winter sports, as far as practices, have been delayed until December the 14th. At this point in time, that's our high school boys and girls basketball, our cheerleaders, our dance team, our swim team, our wrestling team, and of course all of our middle school programs as well is on hold. That'll be through January 14th, and then hopefully come January the 4th, we will be able to start some contests. And I said January 14th, it's December 14th for practices at this point in time. So other than that, we've actually got mentoring tomorrow for the middle school and high school. We've got some things that we're going to do virtually with those students, and they'll also have their grades will be available through their Infinite Campus, so they can actually see their grades at home as well. But other than that, we're just we're working hard and diligently at what we've been dealt with, and making the most of it.
Mr. Middleton, would you please speak to the issue? I know there's concern and there's a lot of understanding about it, but I want you to speak to the issue of the guidelines for Healthy at Sports and what has to happen when we do return under the guidance that we have right now, and what provisions have been made here at school for that.
Based on the guidelines and the provisions with the Healthy at Sports return, a lot of the areas are saying you can go at 15% capacity. That's what they've got in place as far as with places such as Referrals and the Yum Center, places like that. It's like 15% capacity. In our situation, what we've had to do in order to follow the social distancing guidelines of 6 feet, 15% is not feasible because I'm more concerned, and Ms. Dixon and the rest of our administrators, we're more concerned with the 6 foot social distancing aspect. We've had to make some changes to our layout in the gym for indoor activities. What was the home side, last year's home side behind our benches and our scores table, going by recommendations from KHSAA, I've set the score table farther away from the floor. We've actually pushed the bleachers back in, with the exception of the 1 or 2 rows on that side with the blue chairs being out, and that allowed me to be able to set my team benches up 6 feet apart as well. Those athletes and coaches must wear masks while on the bench. Of course, when an athlete goes to the game, they can remove the mask, but they also have that option to play with a cloth mask on if they choose to do so. And so with that being said, we moved our home side to the north side of the gym, which was in the visitor side in the past. We went through, we've allotted, as far as our senior athletes, we start with our seniors first. We've allowed each senior the option to purchase 4 tickets for this upcoming season. And then we went from that point, we went to juniors, and all underclassmen had the option to purchase 2. In doing that, what we've realized is that's taking up that whole entire side. When you take in the boys, basketball players, the cheerleaders, the dance team, and your underclassmen that play, that's that side is at capacity. As far as that go, I think we can seat by social distancing on that side 152 spectators on that side, and then behind the benches we'll be able to get about 30 spectators in there. And what we've decided to do or voted to do as far as the 13th Region Policy Board is that everybody's come to a consensus that we will give the visiting team 2 tickets per player. So that would be 30 seats on that side, which would be just about max over there by allowing the visiting team 2 tickets per player, and that's what all teams in the 13th region is going to do for us as well. The boys coach and girls coach, they'll get 2 tickets per player, and that'll be it. As long as we're following these healthy sports or return to sports guidelines. If you have any questions about anything, or if I wasn't clear on anything, just please ask, and I'll try to clarify it as best as possible.
One of the things I want to point out, I've been getting a few phone calls about it. These are not mine or the board's or our administrative team's recommendations or regulations. These are the public health, healthy at sports recommendations. And we can't hold 15% capacity and still meet the social distancing guideline that is still there. So when we do give all those tickets out to our athletes, that is for family pods according to the guidelines. Now we hope this all changes, but until it does, our number one goal is that our athletes get to participate. It's not about me, it's not about, I'm sorry, aunts or uncles right now, it's about the kids getting to participate. So we are following the guidelines. We will have 6 feet social distancing and family pods. That allows 4 tickets for every senior athlete. They get priority seating. Then we go right up the bleacher from there, and every athlete gets 2 tickets. Should we have additional seats for some reason that somebody doesn't purchase or buy, then we can do something with those. But I think as of today, we had 2 tickets left, and I will tell you that no administrator, no faculty member, nobody has tickets. So it's about our kids and it's about their parents. It's going to be not the situation that they wanted, but the priority is for the kids to get to play. And in order for them to get to have a season, we have to follow guidelines. And I will say this, I'm almost 100% certain that we will go to gyms that don't enforce those policies and procedures. I won't go, but our kids will go, because if they play, they will go. At this point in time, the consensus from the 13th region was that they would play and they would host in the red. But as far as we go, we're only going to play or host in the red with no spectators for district seating games. And if things get better, then we can look at releasing those guidelines, because again, the priority is that the kids get to play. So those guidelines are stiff, and they won't be enforced everywhere we go, just as not going to school in the red zone wasn't enforced in every district in the state of Kentucky. But we're going to do our best to keep our kids and our community healthy and safe so we can get back in a seat as soon as possible. So I wanted to make sure that you all understood where we were and how we have prioritized our tickets so that our kids' families are the priority for the seating and the games that we hope to be able to get to hold. Mr. Middleton, did I leave out anything?
Well, one thing I'll add to that, we was talking about the tickets and the visiting tickets. We will not be selling any tickets at the door to visitors either. Those tickets will be given to those the ADs or coaches ahead of time. They'll give us the money for those 30 tickets, and then they can distribute those however they feel needs to be. And we'll just go from there. No seats are on the visitor side as well. They are numbered by seat and by row, and all seats not being used, we will have those seats blocked off and marked off so that no one will be sitting in those seats as well. We will go all of the recommendations or the required sanitizing process. We'll have our trainer have at least 3 basketballs. If it's being a basketball indoor sport, they'll have 3 basketballs ready at any time to interchange and keep those sanitized as possible. So we're following everything as close to the recommendations as possible. So hopefully we can, come January the 4th, we can pick up our season and start playing. I know we had a lot of games that we had scheduled before January the 4th. They will be able to reschedule some of those games if both teams have open dates. but they cannot play more than 3 games in 1 week. So they will be losing some games due to this. And right now, the maximum number of games they can play in a week is 3 games.
The only other thing I think that we left out, and it's not really an issue because unless it's a major big game, a crowd game, is that cheerleaders, no one in the 13th region is allowing visiting cheerleaders or dance teams into their games because they don't have the capacity for those people to attend. So that is something that we did not mention. Again, they will not be our cheerleaders will not be traveling to the away games either because the 13th region is not allowing that to happen.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Middleton. Mr. Messer, you're up.
Yeah. I want to commend Ms. Dixon, Mr. Middleton, and April Messer. They've worked hard in that gym. I've witnessed that the last 2 or 3 weeks. They've had the yardstick out and everything. So the good news is the gym's in good shape. We just redid the floor last week. Looks good. It's ready to be played on whenever school starts back, whenever we can have games. Besides that, we're working on some things around the school that we don't get to in a normal year. Some spring clean or fall cleaning right now. As far as the lunchroom goes, we had Thanksgiving dinner on Wednesday. It was a success. We fed over 500 or 600 people that day. So we had a lot of students, had their parents bring them, pick up meals. So that's been a success. Also, Save the Children food boxes have been a really good thing for not only our school, but our community. It's fed a lot of people. We've had the opportunity to even deliver to some people that don't have transportation. So that's been a great program that's been offered to our community during these hard times. But besides that, everybody's working hard, and we're just looking forward to school starting back with students in seats.
Mr. Masters' crew's done a tremendous job. The custodians did refinish the floor. It looks very good. They have done a lot of work, extra cleaning in there, and putting the jerseys and stuff back up where we painted and did all of the stuff. So they've worked diligently on that. And Mr. Master I need to commend Mr. Master, and I'll have to brag on Bill, my husband Bill, because they actually have gone out every week with the Save the Children food boxes and taking them everywhere in the neighborhood along with people picking them up. One of the things that we did find is that not only could we feed our kids with those boxes, but we also had a lot of elderly people here in this area that were really afraid to go to the grocery store. So it's been very beneficial. Mr. Messer and Bill Dixon got in their vans and vehicles, and they took boxes and they delivered them to those people. So it was a really great experience, and Mr. Messer always does that, and Amy Collins does a great job getting the food ready and providing great meals each week with her staff in the cafeteria. So Mr. Messer's doing a tremendous job there as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Messer. Ms. Chapin.
She is not on tonight. No, she's not on tonight.
Ms. Sprinkles, are you there?
I am. Yes. Just very quickly, I wanted to say that we've been doing iReady virtually, and we have 95% of the students that have completed that, which I think is really good for a virtual testing. And we're looking at those results at this time and making some adjustments to our instruction to meet those needs that we have that we may have missed during that time off that we've had. And actually, I was very pleased, and I think Mr. Carey could attest to that as well, that our scores did not go down tremendously. So we were both very, very happy to see that when we were looking at those scores yesterday. Very busy time right now in preschool. It's child count, December 1 child count, so we've been having ARCs and working on paperwork and getting all of that settled in, so that's been a very busy thing for us. And I'd like to also mention that the power-up sessions went really well. I felt like those were successful. I wish we would have had more students. I think it's a good idea, and I'm hoping that the next time we have it, we'll be able to have a few more in. And I'm going to give a little quick shout out to a couple different things. I wanted to do a shout out for our teachers' assistants. They've worked really hard in the past couple weeks. They've been working on just in classroom, cleaning out closets and just anything that they've been asked to do. They've been helping in the cafeteria. They've been creating bags for students to take home and use manipulatives at their house. And I just wanted to say what a wonderful job all of those ladies have been doing. And shout out to Miss Daniels and Miss Carabeth for our paint night we had tonight. And I know probably Miss Daniels will speak about it, but I had an opportunity to drop in, and we looked like we had a pretty good group of students there, and they were having a great time, and it was something that's different and that kids could participate in. So I was really pleased to see that. So I just wanted to give a couple shout outs. Thanks.
In regards to Carabeth through Promise Neighborhood, we also have Kayla Messer with Gear Up, and they have been tremendous in reaching out and trying to find activities like the virtual paint night and things to engage kids. And they've really been focusing on a lot of the emotional and social wellness from the kids. And I'm very thankful to have Kara doing that for us, and Kayla has been on board just for the last few weeks, and they're doing a tremendous job. Kayla was actually hoping to do a drive-by college fair, but since the new restrictions, we can't get the college people out to set up the tables to even drive by. So she's delaying that until a different date where we can do that. But they're continuously looking at activities and ways that if kids want to engage in the evenings, they can as well. So it's great to have Promise Neighborhood and Gear Up on board with us. They've helped us tremendously.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sprinkles. Ms. Daniels.
Yes, actually I'm watching our kids right now as we speak on the virtual paint night. They're having a ball. And this is something we're trying to do for our kids in order for them to get to do some of the normal family engagement things that we're doing. We're trying really hard, Kara and I and Kayla, to find things they can do at home that we can join in and interact with them. And they're on here right now. They're painting Christmas trees and they're having a good time. We're having some kids that are having a good time. So that's a blessing. We're also working with, like today, we got to bring in some small groups of seniors to do mock interviews for scholarships and for colleges. So they got to do that today, and that was something that we're going to try to continue to do. So these seniors get opportunities for when they do have to go in and do these interviews and do these different things. We want them to have, a little bit of help with that. So we are bringing those in a few at a time. Today, I think we had 2 groups of like 4, but that went really well. We are also working, of course, on the food boxes. We're trying to make sure all our families are getting food. Mr. Messer, and of course, all of the people from Save the Children have been a blessing to our families. Some of our cafeteria people, they've worked on delivering, and we have put a lot of food in a lot of homes, and that's been a blessing. We also have our Thanksgiving food drive we're working on now, so we can give some of our family Thanksgiving dinners. I've had several people reach out, so hopefully we'll get several of those. Right now, we probably have enough canned food to do about 15 families, so we're working on getting a few little items to go with those and to get turkeys so that they can have the complete dinner. Backpack snacks, I'm still taking those out. Anybody that we're doing it a little different, rather than doing a bag, we try to take a box that'll last these families more than a weekend, that we're trying to get food boxes into the homes for the weeks. Referrals and home visits, me and Mr. Carey have been to several homes trying to make sure we get these kids online. Of course, we're going to have issues, but we are doing everything we can to make sure all our kids are participating. So we've been in a lot of houses the last little bit, made a lot of phone calls. Our instructional assistants have been great. They've helped me with phone calls, they've cleaned, they've organized, and helped me put together so many things. So I want to give them credit for that. And then again, we're working on everything we can to try to get these kids some activities at home. And that's something our senior said to me today. It's not that I'm gonna miss prom. I miss being at school. And you know, when a kid says that to you, that they just want to be around their friends. So that's why we're working on these virtual interactions so that these kids can see each other in a fun atmosphere, not just in the classroom. So that's all I have for today.
Samantha has worked diligently I'm telling you, she lives really close and she gets phone calls day in and nighttime. She doesn't care. She answers them. She answers that resource center line all the time. I've seen her on days where she can barely walk because she's had just so many deliveries and things to do. And so we certainly appreciate her and Mr. Middleton and Mr. Carey and Mr. Messer. They're all just there every day doing what they need to do. So they're doing a great job. Samantha, could you address Angel Tree and what your plan might be for it this year?
Well, right now, my biggest struggle for the Angel Tree is getting communication from the homes. I got lots of kids that are there, but getting the information about what they need. I'm doing home visits, I'm calling. Getting these people to respond to me has probably been my biggest issue because I have a lot of kids that I know they need it, but I can't get the information from those families. So I'm going to spend the next few days just trying to go to the houses and get that information. Of course, I always need sponsors, and I put some stuff on our Facebook page, and I've had people to respond to that. So it's been a little bit of a challenge this year because normally, they're in the classroom, the teacher sends the paper home, and it comes back the next day. I mean, I've spent probably 2 weeks just trying to get in touch with families to get clothing sizes, to get, desires of what the kids may like to have for Christmas. So that's been, a little more challenging this year, but we'll come up with it somehow.
Well, I think maybe everyone knows that Miss Daniels is calling when work's not being done or kids are not being online, so maybe they're not answering your phone calls because of that. So maybe if they see this or someone can share with them.
Voicemails to say,
yeah.
Hey, I'm calling about the Angel Tree. Call me back.
Okay, well that's good. I think that might be the new approach we have to take. But maybe they'll see this video as well and know that to answer the phone, we do have to be careful about home visits. We still have to follow all the guidelines, and it's kind of like door dashing, but they are going out to as many homes a week as they possibly can when they need to. So thank you guys for doing all that.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Daniels. Do we have anything else?
Is Amy Collins on? Do we have anyone else who hasn't spoken? Okay, I think that might be it.
Okay, so we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Moved by Ludney, second by Williams. All those in favor say adjourn.
Aye.
Aye.